Welcome to a Bojack Horseman edition of Unlikely Mentors, the series where we look at tactics and traits of the world's top performers through the lens of some very unlikely characters. But the stars of Bojack Horseman.
What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out.
And we're starting with Todd, who can teach us how to get more great ideas through a brilliant concept called working your idea muscle. Now, it's fair to say that Todd has plenty of creative ideas for businesses, but it's also fair to say that most of them are terrible.
Smoothies. It's a mood that you drink like a smoothie.
Now it's more of a safe-ish space for women and a really safe space for men to look at women.
You could take your kids to a dentist's office where all the dentists were clowns.
What?
However, once in a while he does find a gem, whether it's a rock opera,
It's spellbinding.
All right.
or a curated box of snacks.
Bi-monthly curated box of snacks has been an enormous success.
Whilst many of us might laugh at someone who constantly comes up with loads of crazy out-of-the-box ideas, the idea muscle concept states that if you come up with enough bad ideas, a few good ones tend to show up as well. And so if you work your idea muscle, so to speak, like any muscle, it then gets stronger, and so it becomes easier to come up with more ideas, and soon you'll naturally start seeing unique opportunities in places where most people don't.
We give you Halloween in January.
Because we all have this fear of failure and maybe a touch of perfectionism, and that means our brains often stop us coming up with ideas or trying new ventures, because what if it's not good or it doesn't work? But luckily we can all follow in Todd's footsteps by forcing ourselves to come up with more ideas by deliberately thinking of some that we think are pretty terrible. Doing this removes the pressure or any perceived embarrassment, but simultaneously puts you one step closer to finding that winning idea.
Hooray!
For me personally, just the other day I was trying to think of the perfect next video to make and had nothing. So I just started writing down every idea that came into my head. Some were terrible, but soon the ideas were flowing freely and I found some that I'm now really excited for. So, what are you struggling to think of right now? Maybe it is a business idea you're looking for. Maybe it's a way to reach more customers, or maybe it's just what to do tonight. Force yourself to write down the first 10 ideas that come into your head, no matter how ridiculous they sound. And you'll be surprised how continually working your idea muscle like this leads to some of your best ideas yet. The second character we can learn from is Princess Carolyn, and with her the lesson is all about valuing your time more. A quote I love is that you can't have $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic, and it's fair to say that when it comes to work ethic, Princess Carolyn is constantly on it, and doesn't wait around.
Hold on, I gotta take this. Hello?
Hey, Bojack, I've got Princess Carolyn for you. It's urgent.
Great, put her on.
Just a sec, I'll see if she's available. When you're walking alone, because jellicles are...
But although she's a great example of the work ethic needed to make it in your career or business, to be less stressed, she needs to introduce the 80-20 rule to her life. If you've been watching self-improvement channels for a while, I'm sure you're very familiar with this concept, that generally speaking, 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. This can be applied to most things in your life, and when you start measuring things by the results you get from them and not the time put in, you can shift your focus to the most important things, and therefore get much better results.
You take up 80% of my time with your drama and make me 0% of my money.
For her, if this were real life, she should probably drop Bojack as a client and focus that time on her best clients, making her the most money, the top 20%. Third up, Mr. Peanut Butter.
What is this? A crossover episode?
From him, we need to remember that we control whether we see something as positive or negative. It's all about the spin we put on it. When you fail at something, do you think, oh my god, I'm a failure? Or do you think, what lesson can I learn from this so next time I'll succeed? It's basic mindset stuff, easier in theory than practice, but Mr. Peanut Butter's relentless positivity is refreshing. And whilst you don't need to take it as far as him, deliberately looking for the good in things is how you'll keep going no matter how hard your own 0 to millionaire journey gets. Fourth, Diane. She shows us a crucial lesson in Series 1 when Bojack is unhappy with the biography she writes for him because it's so raw and honest. But then that actually ends up making him more likeable because he seems more relatable. I think in business there's an expectation to put up a front. You see it on Instagram with entrepreneurs a lot, or any sort of personal brand trying to show that everything's perfect. But I think people like the honesty and the humility, seeing the lows as well as the highs. It makes you more approachable and real. And finally, what Bojack video would be complete without Bojack Horseman himself? And the lesson we can learn from Bojack is that for some people, happiness is just an illusion. Just kidding, but there is a serious lesson to take away from Bojack, which is that everyone has their own struggles, which you often don't see. And so, whilst Bojack is clearly not where he needs to be yet, I think in the show you can see his own journey of self-development and trying to get a little bit better every day, which is all any of us can really do. Whether in business or in life, it's all about those little daily improvements and a commitment to ongoing growth, which is perhaps best summed up here.
It gets easier.
Huh?
Every day it gets a little easier, but you gotta do it every day. That's the hard part. But it does get easier.
Okay.
If you are willing to commit to continual improvement, then make sure you are subscribed to Young Magnates, the channel for future millionaires. It would mean a lot to me if you also checked out some of my other videos. There's everything from general motivation and business book summaries to more TV show character breakdowns like this. Take your pick, and I'll hopefully see you very soon. Cheers.